I know it's Super Bowl week and everyone's excited to see Patrick Mahomes win another ring, but the NBA still matters. In this video, we're looking at who I believe are the worst teams to win a championship in NBA history. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The 2022 Golden State Warriors. There were talks about the decline of the Golden State Warriors dynasty. They lost 29 games, a couple of losing slumps that season, which were mostly on the road. Their home record was much better, which was enough to enable them to finish third in the Western Conference behind Memphis and the Phoenix Suns. In the first round of the playoffs, the Warriors' small ball death lineup was too much for reigning MVP Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets, who were missing both Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. That series ended 4-1. And in game 1 of the semi-finals versus Memphis, that game was a very tight victory and John Morant missed the remaining half of the series with injury. But even without John, Memphis blew out Golden State in Game 5, leading by as much as 55 points that game. Ultimately, they lost in Game 6. In the Western Conference Finals, Steph and Klay dominated Luka and the Mavs to win 4-1. In the finals, Golden State faced the Boston Celtics and defeated them in 6 games. Curry, of course, won his first finals MVP. The reason why this team is here is because their regular season record was quite modest. Injuries to Denver and Memphis also facilitated their path to the finals. The following year, they dropped to the 6th seed and haven't been close to reach another NBA final. This isn't the only Warriors team featured on this list. The 2006 Miami Heat. They finished the regular season 52-30 and second in the Eastern Conference. They struggled for multiple reasons. In the second game of the season, Shaq injured his right ankle and missed the following 18. Without Shaq, the Heat had a .500 record and an 11-10 start to the season. Stan Van Gundy resigned shortly after and team president Pat Riley stepped in as head coach. Not only do they need to adjust to a new coach mid-season, they also need to manage Shaq's minutes, get the most out of Wade, especially in crucial moments, for this team to have any chance of winning. In the playoffs, they defeated the Chicago Bulls in 6 games, beat the Detroit Pistons for the Eastern Conference Final, a team they lost to in the previous year. They took down the Dallas Mavericks in the finals after an 0-2 start to the series, with Wade earning Finals MVP. Game 5 is frequently cited as one of the most highly controversial finals games in NBA history. Jerry Stackhouse was suspended for a so-called flagrant foul on Shaq. Wade visited the free throw line 25 times, which was equal to Dallas's entire team. Even then, it was still a tight game that went to the wire in overtime, but ultimately, Miami won the series. The combination of bias officiating in crucial moments in finals, coming back from an 0-2 deficit, the regular season record wasn't as dominant as their later championship wins either. 2004 Detroit Pistons. Despite the success of the Bad Boys Pistons, it was hard to imagine that Detroit would win another championship 24 years later in 2004. As team president, Joe Dumars made a controversial move in acquiring Ben Wallace and Chucky Atkins in exchange for All-Star Grant Hill. They finished the regular season 54-28 and third in the Eastern Conference. In the playoffs, teams just couldn't score on them. In the first round of the playoffs, they defeated the Milwaukee Bucks 4-1, backed by their strong defense, overcame a 3-2 deficit in the semifinals to the New Jersey Nets, and in the finals took down the Indiana Pacers in a 6-game series. As good as their defense was, we all thought Shaq and Kobe would end their dream run. So we thought. Detroit took Game 1. The Lakers scored a total of 75 points. Game 2, Lakers won with a narrow 99-91 victory thanks to Kobe. The Pistons won the remaining 3 games despite a 36-point game from Shaq in Game 4. Definitely one of the greatest upsets in NBA history. The regular season record wasn't dominant. Their defense was elite, first in points allowed, but their offense was trash, 24th in points per game and 26th in field goals made. It's common knowledge in the NBA that you need at least 2 superstars to win a championship. And this team didn't even have one, especially after they traded away Grant Hill. The 1979 Seattle SuperSonics. Another team that just failed to dominate in the regular season with a 52-30 record. Finishing top seed, they received a first round bye. In the semi-finals, Seattle defeated the Lakers 4-1 and defeated the Suns in the Western Conference Finals in a 7-game series. The finals was a replay of the 1978 NBA Finals against the Washington Bullets, except this time they won 4-1. Given their struggles in years prior, this was and still is in fact a shock championship win. Since that win, no team outside of Texas or California in the Western Conference had won an NBA championship until Denver in 2023. The Seattle franchise later failed to compete at a championship level, especially with the entree of Magic Johnson the following season. The 1977 Portland Trail Blazers. They won their first and only championship to date, finished the regular season with a 49-33 record, which was their best in franchise history at the time, including a 36-5 home record, ranked third in points per game, and finished third in the West. This team constantly had to come from behind to defeat teams, comeback after comeback. In their first ever appearance in the playoffs, they defeated the Bulls, Nuggets, swept the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. They faced a star-studded Philadelphia 76ers team in the finals, headed by Julius Erving, who put them ahead 2-0. However, Portland rallied to win the next 4 games to win the championship, thanks to strong efforts from Bill Walton, who won MVP. Their regular season record wasn't dominant. They weren't expected to win. They're still one of 2 teams in NBA Finals history to recover from an 0-2 deficit, but above all, they haven't won since. The 1975 Golden State Warriors. The Warriors had an elite scorer in Ricky Barry to their advantage. They had a 48-34 win-loss record and still managed to finish first in the West. They were a turnover-prone team, and besides from Ricky Barry, they didn't have the star power to dominate their competition, especially after trading away Nate Thurmond. In the regular season, they played in 17 close games decided by 2 or less points and 6 wins with game-winning shots. They were huge underdogs and dubbed as one of the worst teams in the league and a fringe playoff team at best. No one expected them to win. In the Western Conference semi-final, they won a narrow Game 6 over Detroit, and in the conference finals, defeated the Chicago Bulls. In games 1, 2, and 4 of the finals against the superior Washington Bullets, they overcame double-digit deficits, including a 14-point deficit in game 1, and still managed to sweep them. The 1969 Boston Celtics. They ranked 10th out of 14 teams in offense rating and second in defense with a plus 5.6 points per game differential. With the number 4 seed, Boston advanced to the finals against the Lakers after defeating the 76ers in the East Division semi-final and defeated the New York Knicks in the Game 6 in the East Division Finals. The Lakers led initially, but Boston overcame a 2-0 series deficit to win the championship. The series went the full distance and Boston won a narrow Game 7, marking the first time a road team won a Game 7 in NBA Finals history. This is quite easily one of the worst NBA championship teams. They were the oldest team in the league, barely made the playoffs, beat teams they shouldn't have, like the Philadelphia 76ers and New York, and a stacked Lakers team featuring Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, and Jerry West, who won Finals MVP despite losing. This championship also marked the end of the Celtics dynasty in the 60s. 1995 Houston Rockets finished the season 47-35 to finish 6th in the Western Conference and the lowest seeded team to win an NBA championship. In the playoffs, they faced higher seed teams with much more impressive schedules, no home court advantage, and also faced multiple eliminations. In the first round versus the Utah Jazz, Houston overcame a 2-1 deficit in 6 games. In the Western Conference semis to Phoenix, the Rockets came back from a 3-1 deficit to win in 7 games. And in the Western Conference Final, they defeated the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games. It's a miracle they won all those games. In the finals, Houston would sweep the Orlando Magic. In Game 1, the Magic were up 110-107. But Nick Anderson missed 4 consecutive free throws late in the game, followed by a Kenny the Jet Smith 3 to tie and send the game to overtime where the Rockets would win. But overall, it was Hakeem Olajuwon's dominance over Shaq that gave this team their unexpected victory. Hypothetically, if Jordan had not retired, the outcome of that season may well have been different. The 1958 St. Louis Hawks. This was the last non-integrated team to win an NBA title. That should be enough. They ended the season 41-31 to win the Western Division, and the inconsistencies continued into the playoffs with high-scoring games and significant losses. The St. Louis Hawks defeated the Detroit Pistons 4-1 in the Western Division Finals, but in Game 3 suffered a hefty 109-89 loss as the team struggled scoring offensively. The Hawks defeated Boston in the finals 4-2, partly due to an ankle sprain injury to Celtics star Bill Russell in Game 3, which changed the course of the entire series. He returned for Game 6, but the Hawks exploited this again with Bob Petit, who scored 50 points to secure a narrow 110-109 victory. The 1978 Washington Bullets, they had the worst regular season record of any NBA champion, 44-38. 5 game-winning and losing streaks to finish third in the Eastern Conference. On multiple instances, the championship series went the full distance. In the Eastern Conference semi-finals, they upset George Gervin and the Spurs in a 6-game series, and in the Eastern Conference finals, defeated the 76ers in 6 games. In the finals, they took down the Seattle SuperSonics in a Game 7 closer. Worst record of any champion, third in the East. They weren't contenders, defeated teams they shouldn't, including scraped victories. They were the last team to win the NBA title on the road in Game 7 until the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016, and their success was not sustained. This remains their only championship in franchise history.